All right, good morning. How's everybody doing? Test. Yep. I can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. It's Sunday. It's April 20th, coincidentally. Anybody who's into 420. Yeah. You know, I had some people in the studio last night, and it was, I don't know if the word's eye-opening. I would say I think it is, right? And the thing is that I hear a lot of people tell me is, you're so passionate about music, and that's true. All I want to do is make music, 24/7. I don't think there's much more to it. I'm going to turn down the reverb on my voice. Hold on a second. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't sound like I'm in a hall anymore. But the whole point of my streams has been the focus of what my friend was telling me last night. So, Tommy, thank you for the inspiration of saying, you're really passionate. You should talk more about your process, like what you do. And I know I've been streaming a lot my music because I've been in this zone, man. I've been in a really good mood. I've been really focused on writing, and all my writing feels like it's actually manifesting the way my, lack of a better term, the way my brain thinks. And that's how my music is written. It is very stream of thought, no pun intended with the stream. And I've been writing like this for years. Like when I played in Portland and when I played in Austin, some of my best bands were jazz improvisation and techno improvisation, right? So what I do is I kind of construct a way in my mind that I almost feel like I'm DJing, but I'm with all my own music and all my own thoughts, and with all the pressure having to do it in real time. So for anybody who's subscribed to the channel or watched any of my videos or liked any of the videos or made any comments, number one, I really appreciate you because it just seems to keep inspiring me. I'm going to make music regardless if people like what I'm doing or not. But it just does. It seems to inspire me to keep kind of going. And I've noticed that the more energy I put into the channel, the more people are paying attention. So I think I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for doing that. I put a lot of time and effort into my music, and I feel like I live somewhere where people aren't as receptive to my music, or not, they haven't been yet, or haven't found the right avenue. So I was like, well, maybe I should take it to the internet, because then I can show people what I work on, and then maybe I can teach and educate and do the things that I really love to do. So we're going to break down my setup again. I'm going to talk about a couple things that I do. I wrote a couple notes. The notes that I wrote were circle of fifths, chord progressions, scales, rhythms with notes, tempos, feels. And then side note, I did mix, volume, effect, mute, volume, effects, and mix. So those are kind of the things we're going to talk about today on the stream. And if there's any moment where you're like, I'm confused, or I want to know something, you can leave comments in the chat. Typically, I can't see that, but you could also leave a comment so I can respond to you. For some of the people that have been responding lately too, I really appreciate it. And let's kind of dig in and see if I can explain what this monstrosity is in front of you, right? So I work on all three formats. I work with synthesizers.com. I work with, that's 5U. I work with Buchla, that's 4U. And then I work on Eurorack, which is 3U. The setup consists of the .com being a bass sound that I use, and all of that control, I'm just making a new pattern, comes from the Digitone, right? So on the MIDI side, I have 4 MIDI tracks, right? Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of setup, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make sure all 4 tracks are routed, and that means track 1 is the Roland voice clone, Track 2 is my 4MS digital voice up in the other channel than the rack. Channel 3 is my .com, which is mainly bass. And channel 4 is the Buchla, which is bass lead. It's kind of everything, right? I do have to calibrate this oscillator, so I'm going to apologize in advance that I just have to press a couple buttons. C2. Yeah. C4. Ah, that didn't do it. Hold on, I'm grabbing a cable. Okay, so I'm just calibrating this oscillator, sorry. And that's so it's in tune with everything else that I'm doing. Okay, so basically in the Euroracks, they're volt per octave. The Buchla is 1.2 volts per octave, but I can actually set it to, this oscillator I can set to 1 volt per octave. So everything's being controlled. Channels 1 is the Roland sound clone. Channel 2 is the 4MS sound. Channel 3 is my .com. Channel 4 is the Buchla. And then the Digitone, of course, is what's compartmentalizing those 4 tracks. I usually play this thing live, which is the monopoly, and last night I was playing with Dan. It was super fun. We were goofing around, and he makes this thing make great sounds. So with some of my friends, the ability to have polyphony, we love that, right? You can play chords with it, but it makes these mean sounds, right? So definitely I like the sound of like late 70s, early 80s Chord. And this is a clone of it because I can't afford the other one. All right, so let's talk about, at the center, I got a Digitakt and I got an OPXY. Okay? And I have those because they are my drum centers, right? All the drums seem to come from both of them, right? And if I hit play right now, nothing's programmed, and I did this on purpose. So the XY has some of the best sounding drums in my opinion. I've sampled my own drum kit, which is the Kitchen, but I'm going to actually go to one of their drum sets. So I'm just getting a kick drum loaded, right? And so already I got a kick and a snare coming out of the OPXY, right? And I'm using it it's mixed into the Digitone. All right, so you get this real nice beat. And then I also use the Digitakt to make drums as well. So the two I kind of counterpoint off of each other. And later on, this is really important because this is how I mix everything and kind of DJ my music, right? And when I say DJ my music, I mean the ability to kind of make it sound like I'm doing a lot of different things and making transitions. Okay, so that's what we'll talk about, the transition in a minute. Okay, but the first thing we really need to talk about is when I'm writing, I'm using the circle of fifths, right? We've talked about this a lot on the channel, so I'm going to breeze over this real fast, which is not good, but good, whatever. I'm going to quickly say that when I'm writing music, especially electronic music, I'm not trying to make something melodically crazy to dazzle people, because techno should have like a better flow to it and not so much like a super busyness. Now, every once in a while, I might make a busier song. I'm not saying that I won't. But now that this drum beat's going, I'm going to start working on like a hi-hat progression so that there's a little bit more of an interesting thing happening. And when I mean progression, I mean I actually do something called parameter lock. which is the pitch. Okay, so I do that, and then I shorten the envelope. So now I have a hi-hat that the pitch is moving over time. I did that on the Digitakt, right? And I did that by live recording me turning a knob, and that's called parameter lock. Right now, the OPXY does that very well. So these are my 3 devices that all record knob recordings and live playing, and that's the point. That's all my music is, that live playing, right? Now, in the circle of fifths, I would say to myself in my head, what key am I going to play in now, right? And the Digitone has a quantizer, so chord mode, and I could say I want to play in Aeolian, which is natural minor, and I want to play in the natural minor of G, which would be E minor. I'm going to turn that on, and that means right now on this device, everything will play in that key for me, and I'm going to paste that configuration across all the synthesizers. Okay, what that means is now when I play the music on any of them, all right, and this is the Eurorack, this is MIDI channel 1. And this is the roots G, Aeolian, so I would say this is E minor, right? This should be, wait a minute, what do they consider? Let me see. Ah, okay. So here we are as we play. Let me just see if I do E minor. There we go. That's what I meant. Okay, so playing E Aeolian, which is E minor, is G major, right? Now all the chords I'm going to play on the Digitone as well would line up with this E minor, right? So now we're making techno. Instead of dazzling people with crazy stuff, I'm making it 4 bars long. Right? I hit live record. So now my progression is going to be like a 1 or a 6. And then when I move that, what is that chord, right? So 6, that's 2, 7, you know? So I can do 6, and then, 6, 2, 3. And that's what I would typically do. All right, so we're gonna hit live record, 6, 2, 3. And I keep messing up because I'm not smart some days. And it just loops, like it's literally like a loop pedal. Right? Alright, and for ease of this song, I'll filter it down so we don't hear it as much, right? And in your head now, this is a bed. I'm laying the bed for the song. If I want to make the break, I just mute my drums. And I have this hi-hat as my metronome, right? 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So someone who's counting the music always, which is me, and I want to make my bass now on the .com. So I go to channel 3 on the MIDI side, because the first progression was done on the Digitone for polyphony's sake. I wanted chords. The Digitone is an 8-voice synthesizer. So now we're going to make our bass line here. We're in E minor. go. So super simple when I'm writing this music, right? Now the hi-hat's a little aggressive. I definitely think I need to turn that down, right? And put some reverb on it. So when we talk about the mix, I'm talking about the volume of things, what effect. Now reverb will put this hi-hat further back in the mix. So I get that hi-hat a little bit back in the distance, and the snare stands out a little bit more. And we got our bass line coming out of the .com. I have volume control everything, so volume control is very important. And when you guys are listening at home, or anybody's listening when I'm performing out, I usually have headphones for the mix for the final output, because I want to know the final mix to the crowd in my head. I want to make sure it sounds good, right? All right, now, quickly, we've been listening to this for a while. I'm going to grab a ride cymbal because I want a chorus. So I just, laughing, you know, no joke, but. Just get some ride cymbal going. And soften it, reverb, volume down. But now it sounds like we're in the chorus, whatever, right? We also can write two-part things with the Digitone. Now I'm not gonna do that right this minute, because I want to show you guys like more of the groove music I write on stream. And now, since I have this chord progression, I'm going to play a scale on another sound. Right? So my guess is here. Okay, so now when I play a scale on the Buchla, I go to MIDI channel 4. And that's kind of weird. Let's just go to like. So here we go. And now this is where I'm going to talk to everybody about what I do. I play rhythms with the notes, like I'm playing drums, right? And a lot of times, that's why I keep the notes staccato, very short, like the envelope generators in a lot of my music. And I'm gonna prove that, like watch this. Short chords, short, right? And the Buchla sound is what I love, this little, that tapping, you know, that's the low pass gate. The Vactrals, right? The cadmium. Sorry. All right, so let's have a little recap. What you're seeing right now is how I sequence music in the studio. I've been doing this for a really long time. I think my first sequencer was the MC303. So if you're wondering, Roland MC303 is where I started my journey doing techno and making music in general, not just techno. Sequencing drums is the Digitakt and the OPXY, right? And that's the primary beat we have going on, right? The plucky sound we're hearing is MIDI channel 4, and that's the Buchla. And that's a braids oscillator clone going into a low pass gate 292. And I have it set to combo mode because I like how it rings out, right? The chords are coming out of the Digitone, which I just used the envelope generator shorten. And I got the filter. And this sounds like a Juno 106. I think Ryan told me this is like one of my favorite patches. Very true. I use the Digitone as a Juno 106, right? The Eurorack was playing another sound. Let me just see. Ah, that guy's out of tune, right? It is. that's of course if I want to start playing another sound. That's my Eurorack, right? And your ability to just start playing other parts and things, this interplay, the dance, is what makes it sound like I'm making different parts in the music. So if that Buchla pluck is the verse, the chorus becomes the Eurorack sound. So now if I started doing that, I would normally want to mute, and I'd want to mute the chords, because now that I got this, right? So now chorus is over. Chorus is over, right? And I go back to the main bass line. Right. All right, so that's kind of the interplay in the dance. I usually have 4 melodic, chordal, bassy, there's 4 sounds going on. 1, 2, 3. There's 2 drum machines. The 4th sound is in here, the chords. I think I max out around there, around 4 sounds and around 2 drum things kind of intertwining is where this kind of comes to the headway. And you might only be hearing 2 sounds at a time and like a couple of the drum sounds. And then as I progress, the drums actually get a little bit busier, and that's when I get ready to make the break into the next song. All right, so this is... I don't know how other artists do it, so I'm not going to claim I know how Richie Hawtin's on stage just picking his next sample. He may have something ready and loaded in the next thing of Ableton. I'm assuming that's what some of the bigger DJs do so that they have sets ready. Again, I'm flying by the seat of my pants when I write a lot of the music in the studio or in front of everybody, so I prefer to not know where it's going to go next. And then I'd have to practice the bass lines and the things that I'd want to be the songs to play. And that's very typical. A lot of the stuff you're hearing might be a bass line from another song I've made, or from another melody I've written, or something I'm practicing that I'm writing currently because I've written a lot of records. So a lot of the stuff is coming from a place of, I've written a lot of songs. I'm a songwriter, so for me, it feels very natural to write a chord progression and then get behind it immediately, like it's been something I've written for 20 years. Just as easy as a song I've played for 20 years to sound like a song I've played for 20 years. So how comfortable you get with making loops is what comes into play when you're doing this style of live techno, okay? I'm very comfortable making loops. It's come from the guitar looper background. I play guitar and I loop, and I'm so used to like spinning a plate and then looping this thing and then going over to the next thing and looping that and then playing over top of it, right? All right, it makes me really excited. Thanks for tuning in if you're watching. If you're into Easter, happy Easter. If you're into 420, happy 420. If you're into nothing, happy whatever you're doing today. And if you're into music and writing, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of the studio and what's happening. Now I'm going to show you another secret, and this is me transitioning like the mix into the next supposed song or whatever I'm going to do next. I'm going to say this, and then if you have questions, again, you can leave comments. The Digitakt and Digitone are program changed together. So when I change a pattern on one, it changes the pattern on the other. It does not change the pattern on the OPXY. And that's why I use 2 drum machines. Because when I make a break cleanly from the last thing I was playing, I don't want to have residual on the machines when I start writing the next piece. That means if I clear everything on the OPXY, then everything on these guys is still running, and it just doesn't go silent, and then I can start writing on this machine. If I'm writing on the XY and I'm tired of what's playing on these devices, I can clear them, start something new, because that's still making a sound. All right, so secretly I use that OPXY as a string machine. So any string you typically hear will come out of that because of the realism. And like I said, I'm in the key of E minor or G major. And now I'm going to play a string part that helps us transition out of whatever it is we're doing. All right, so bear with me. This may take like 2-3 minutes for that transition to happen, but I'm going to show you kind of where it unfolds and I'll talk you through it. So music's playing. You're like, I've been hearing this forever. Okay, so things are going. Now I'm gonna play a string part. Waha. Strings. Let me load a new project from this then, because this thing hasn't been reloaded in a minute, and it's like I just keep writing garbage over garbage. So that whole beat was sorry. There it is. Yeah, I accidentally turned something down in the mix. So was it like this? Sorry. Okay, so I'm tired of whatever's going on here. So I start playing a string part over here. And now I clear these. Typically now I have this nice breakdown, right? And I can choose right now to clear even the string part, right? So I can pick a brand new key to start playing music in, right? So now I have this break, nothing's happening. I was in the key of E minor, you know, and now, or I was in some key, I don't know what was going on with the tuning and everything. So whatever key I was in, and now I can just pick the next thing I'm about to do, meaning the next key signature and everything. So a lot of times I pick a brand new pattern because all the quantizing goes away, right? And on this, I have to start loading new sounds, so the drum tracks are never the same drum beats. And I know that sounds annoying to most people, but for me to load a kick and a snare and a hi-hat doesn't take me very long. I have some of my favorites, 808, 707, 606, everything kind of ready to go, right? And that means that when I go here to load these as fast as I can, even if we have like 30 seconds or 20 seconds of a break, and the songs they're not mixed, so I have to hurry up and add reverb, lower the volumes, close the envelopes. This takes me all about 10, 15 seconds, right? And again, you just gotta make sure everything's unmuted. That kick drum just, yep, so there's our new kick drum, right? And now I got to think in my head, like, well, what's the progression I'm going to play, right? And that becomes like a very important part real quick, because if that makes you nervous, that's not a good thing, right? So let's say like already I'm like listening in my head and I was like C minor. And that's where, like, for me, this is the fun in it, right? Because it's just pretty simple. Right. And now I go to MIDI channel 3 to write my bass line. Remember, you're writing techno, right? The quicker I can get into a good groove, the better, right? Instead of doing arpeggiators, I typically play the 3 or 4 notes over the bar. I think that's kind of the secret. So now you just saw me transition to the next song. You saw me writing. You saw the feel change of that song because it went from like a break beat to 4/4. I did that on purpose. The feel of that song had a more synthwave kind of sound, where the first sound had had break, you know, kind of a feel to it. So the way that you program the kick and the snare in the beginning are so vital to the way the rest of the music kind of unfolds. The second thing is the key you pick and the couple chords or notes you choose, and the notes you choose what synth you play with them. If I'm going for a Juno 106 sound, I'm going for a mono poly sound. I'm going for a thick Moog bass because that's a Moog filter that I play with the .com for the bass. It's a Moog ladder filter. I think that sound gives me the sound I'm looking for. Then the Roland Clone gives me that higher din, 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 the glassy mono synth that I want. The 4MS wavetable I didn't really bring in yet because that's my transitional sound. When I've been playing like the analog stuff enough, I jumped to something digital to have a juxtaposition to what I was playing before. So if you're wondering like, well, when does that oscillator come into play? That would be the next song. I would start playing on the 4MS oscillator because it has a digital sound. It's very different and crispy and interesting. It's modulating, it's moving. That's where I go next. I'm going to take a check on my time right now. So I'm just going to, sorry. Yeah, around 37 minutes. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the setup. All right, so from there, I'm going to end the stream. Hopefully that was enough information for you to see like the workflow and what's actually happening inside the studio. Again, I spend a lot of time on just keeping the mix kind of right, and I don't use plugins. These are my plugins, right? The patches do change. Right now, this is single voice. Sometimes it's a dual voice. Sometimes it's a 3-voice synth, like a real mini Moog. But sometimes right now it's more like a Prodigy, like a Moog Prodigy patch. This is the monopoly. It'll be like a lead sound I use. This I use to make the pluck sound and the leads that have kind of cool, weird modulated sine wave and amplitude modulation and timbre folding. The the single voice is more for just like a single simple voice, and the wavetable is my transitional voice to make other songs and transition, make A-B parts. The OP field is sometimes a lead synth that I play as well, which I didn't play right now because I just was talking about workflow, and that's usually by the third song. I'm not going to play the lead on this. I'll play it on something else. And the OPXY, like the Digitakt, are my drum machines. The Digitone is the 4-channel MIDI and the polysynth underneath it all. So hopefully that made a lot of sense. Hopefully you got a screenshot of circle of fifths, chord progressions, scales, rhythms with notes, tempos, and feels, and then pay attention to the mutes, the volumes, the effects, and the mix of everything. That's what I'm doing in real time. Yeah. If you have any questions, you want to leave any comments, let me know. And I appreciate everybody tuning in, checking out the videos. This is the studio. This is how Out of the Bag Studio runs. I'm probably going to do another video with me showing the acoustic side of the studio, which is the drums, the bass, and the guitar, and how I tracked my last record. That will be a video to come. Enjoy the day off. And hey, thanks for tuning in and checking stuff out. Everybody enjoy.